his motives are or what he wants, or even whether he's capable of doing what he claims to be capable of doing, Lindsay.
You know, Sahil, the police department, you mentioned the fact that the area that's been cordoned off here seems to be expanding. The Capitol obviously is a large complex, but it really essentially sits in a neighborhood. The backside of the Capitol building backs into the Capitol Hill neighborhood. The Folger Library is right there, and then you have some other office buildings and homes. Can you talk a little bit about the area that you know is being impacted by this, and how the police department, Capitol Police, and maybe other law enforcement agencies are sort of securing that whole area, in that they have to take this threat seriously, as though there may actually be a bomb in that truck?
Absolutely. So the Library of Congress is just 1 block from the Capitol Hill. It's just literally across the street from the Capitol Hill complex on the House side. A close building to that is the CANON House office building, which was the first to get evacuated. Individuals there were asked to go to a nearby building, of which there are several on Capitol Hill. Now, this complex is very close to Union Station in Washington, D.C., just about a 5 or 7 minute walk from there. It is, of course, also quite close in overall geography to the White House. This is a neighborhood of not just Capitol Hill lawmakers, but also a neighborhood where many ordinary Washingtonians live if you just walk a few blocks from here in any direction. So this kind of situation has implications not just for Capitol Hill, but for Washington, D.C. as a whole, which people forget is a town where ordinary Americans live who may have absolutely nothing to do with the government. Another thing I'll add, Aaron, is that right now it's worth remembering that the House and the Senate are on recess. Almost no lawmakers, if any lawmakers at all, are here. There are, however, some staff members who are working here who tend to work through recess, even when both chambers are not working. And of course, the staff that are here tasked with maintaining the Capitol and its complex while Congress is not working. The House at least, is supposed to be back on Monday.
Sahil, we know that you have some deep sourcing in that area. So have you been texting with any of those staffers to find out what the general mood is? I'm sure the area where you're in right now, it's probably just you and a lot of TV crews.
Right. It is mostly calm in the building where I am, Lindsay. I think the evacuation order was issued well ahead of time. I have not seen signs of panic. There are some individuals who, there's a COVID testing site on Capitol Hill, and many people go there as kind of a precautionary thing because they're around people all the time. Everyone wants to know and to make sure that they're negative. That was on hold while this was ongoing. So there are implications of this that are occurring inside this building, inside this complex as we speak. But of course, the bigger picture to note here is that this is the 3rd serious security incident on Capitol Hill in just the last 8 or 9 months. One was where a police officer was killed outside the entrance to the Capitol on the Senate side several months ago. The other, of course, was the January 6th attack on the Capitol by former supporters of President Trump that left multiple people dead and that left more than 140 police officers injured. That is the context in which this is happening. So far, of course, this is a man in his pickup truck who claims to be capable of detonating an explosive device, but nobody knows that that is the case. Nobody, as far as we know, has been harmed at this point, and police officers are working, according to the Capitol Police Chief, Tom Major, to make sure that nothing of that sort happens. And of course, these negotiations, these conversations between police and this man are happening slowly as they try to figure out what exactly he is capable of doing and what he wants.
Sahil, you make an interesting point about the overall safety and security in that area. We know there are a few roads where there are pop-up barriers. Actually, there's a special report underway right now from NBC News. Let's go to that.
In front of the Library of Congress, near First and Independence Southeast. We responded to a disturbance call. The driver of the truck told the responding officer on the scene that he had a bomb and what the officer said appeared to be a detonator in the man's hand. So we immediately evacuated the nearby buildings.
All right, let's get right to NBC Justice correspondent Pete Williams with the latest. Pete, are they communicating with this individual?
Yes, although there are complications here, Lester. Number one, remember that this concern is based solely on his claim that he has an explosive device. The police have seen nothing in the bed of the pickup truck. They know there's something in the back seat of the cab, but they've not been able to determine what that is. So they don't know for a fact whether he has an explosive device. Secondly, he is communicating with them, we're told, by writing on a dry erase board, the kind of whiteboard that you write on with special pens and then you wipe it off and start over. And the other complicating factor is that he's also broadcasting on Facebook Live. So they know who he is. They know he's a man from North Carolina. They say he's making anti-government statements, but the ability to negotiate with him has been somewhat complicated by these other factors, Lester.
All right, Peter Williams, I know you'll continue to monitor all this. NBC's Garrett Hake is near the scene at the Capitol. Garrett, Congress is not in session, but I believe staffers are still in their offices.
Yeah, Lester, Congress is out until early next week. Even a lot of staffers are out, in this case, thankfully, because of concerns over the Delta variant. Many Capitol Hill staffers have been teleworking or working from home over this recess. But, of course, Capitol Hill is also smack dab in the middle of a neighborhood. There is a large perimeter set up by the Capitol Police and the D.C. Metropolitan Police that is extended out into that neighborhood, and police officers are about telling people to stay off the streets and sidewalks in the immediate area surrounding this bomb threat. Lester?
And thank you. Garrett, let me go back to Pete. Pete, as they continue, as you said, this kind of rudimentary communications, are Capitol Police leading this, or local police? Who's in charge?
Capitol Police are in charge because it's on Capitol Hill, but there's a swarm of other federal agencies that are there. The FBI has bomb technicians and negotiators. The ATF has bomb technicians as well. The Park Police are involved. So it's an all-hands-on-deck response. And, of course, you can understand why. There's no confirmation that there's any actual explosives, but the police obviously have to treat it as though it's the real thing.
All right, Pete Williams, thank you. That concludes our breaking news coverage. We're going to monitor this, of course. We'll come back on the air if events warrant, and we'll have full coverage when I see you later on NBC Nightly News. For now, I'm Lester Holt in New York. Good day, everyone.